Hello, MVPs. Casper and Cheryl here. We are so excited you guys are with us today. We have some phenomenal training to kind of help you get through this season, this political season, the financial season. We've got some financial information to share with you. We've got some communication tools and information to share with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we got a lot to cover, and we want to make sure that you leave here with some great information.
That's right. Well, go ahead.
Okay. So we're just getting back from our hiatus. We have been doing these trainings for about 3 or 4 weeks. So, but I'm saying, do you want to talk about the fruits of the spirit first, or
Let's talk about our finances first.
Okay.
So one of the things that we wanted to bring to your attention, especially in this season, they say historically or typically when there's a year of an election, the stock markets go up, they go down, and if you have a 401k or investments that's tied to the stock market, you could lose or you could gain. But we just want you to be mindful overall in your marriages, in your relationships about finances. And as singles, this is a conversation you need to have. Do not bypass this conversation.
Right.
You need to communicate about finances, especially if you've gotten to the point where you guys are engaged. You need to just talk about, how do you handle money? How do you handle money? Do you have a 401k? Do you have stocks, bonds, futures, options? What do you know?
Do you know anything about
anything that? About that? Those terms mean anything to you. So don't push back. Don't be fearful and not communicate those topics because it's important.
Yeah. So let's back up for a second because we, over the past couple of weeks, Cheryl and I attended a stock trading workshop, and we also attended a real estate workshop. And the experts in those classes, the instructors and everything else, the information that we got was very valuable in these times. Now, typically, yes, the stock market does go up and down, but there's typically not a major correction happening, or the major corrections happen like every 10 years or so. Well, we are at the 10-year mark since the last major correction. And the instructors in the class were saying that the only thing that's stopping this next major correction, and we're talking 50% or more of the stock market going down. So if you have a 401k in the stock market, that's 50% of your investment gone, right? So the only thing that's stopping it now is the election that's coming up this November, right here in a couple of weeks. They said, now had it not been for the election and for COVID, we probably would have already had this major correction in the market, crash or whatever they call it, right? So that's what we're talking about. And we're not financial experts, right? You don't have to take our financial advice. But we went to the workshop. We heard some things. And we want to make sure that we share it with as many people as possible because it's important. Like you were saying, if you have a 401k, you're really not managing your money. Your money is invested through the fund manager. It's probably invested in mutual funds. If it's a 401k, might be some bonds in there, might be some other things in there, but it's mainly probably the majority of it is in the stock market via mutual funds, which means you have no control over it. So if the market's going to correct the 50% and you're pretty confident in that, like we were and are, then you need to do some things.
Right.
And one of the things you can do immediately, like Monday morning, is reach out to your 401k manager, whoever's managing your 401k, and just reach out and say, hey, can you pull my investments out of the market just for the next 60 or 90 days? You don't have to tell them the time frame, but I'm saying from our vantage point, the next 60 or 90 days is going to be when things could go south. If they don't go south, no problem. Then you just, at the end of that time, you just tell them to turn it back on,
Mhm.
right? The odds of you losing anything large in that process, or I'm sorry, gaining anything large in that process is not high. So, but the odds of you losing 50% or more is very high. So, better safe than sorry. Pull your money out of actively trading in your 401k. If you have stocks, the very simple thing to do is to reach out to your stockbroker or whoever's managing your stocks. If it's you, then put a stop loss on your stock. In other words, you go into the software and you say, if it drops down past this point, then take me out of that stock. So that will protect you or protect most of your earnings in that particular stock. So again, if you have a 401k, just tell them to take you out of the market just for, temporarily take you out of the market. If you have stocks, then put a stop loss on those stocks so you don't lose when things go south. Now, if they don't go south, then it's no big deal. And if you don't have any money invested in the stock market, it's no big deal because you don't have to worry about it.
And the one thing is that you want to find the expert, whoever your expert is, and ask for information on how to protect what you have. That's the whole key.
Right.
You want to protect what you have.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose it. So whoever the experts are, find it, get educated, contact your expert. You have a financial advisor, your market manager, money manager, whoever it is,
Right.
and ask, what can you do to protect your investments, to protect what you have?
Yeah.
And this is just information you should be having anyway.
Right.
We learned a lot. We weren't very well. Casper was probably more astute in it than I was, but learned a lot, and so it would not hurt for you to also get educated. And now's a good time so that you can get educated and learn about investments, what you have, what you want to have, how to protect it. Put yourself out there to learn.
Yeah. And not to be chicken little skies falling kind of thing, but
yes,
but the time is kind of short right now. So the easiest thing to do is to pull your money out of the market, put a stop loss on your stocks. That's the easiest thing to do. You can do it on Monday. It can all be done on Monday, so that heading into the election and a little bit after, if things go south, your money's protected.
yes.
Right.
And that's just something for you to consider. We're not telling you what to do.
No.
But it's something for you to think about and to consider.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the other thing about about finances in
Mhm.
marriage is that you need to communicate. If you're single, you need to communicate. You're married, you need to communicate. If you haven't been communicating and both of you are not, on the up and up on your finances,
Mhm.
now's a good time.
Right. So if you're single, you mean if you're single and you're dating or
Single,
considering
if you're at the
getting-
engagement stage,
okay.
then this is a conversation you need to have. If you're planning on spending the rest of your life with this person, this is a conversation you need to have.
Yes, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to talk about finance for sure, because finances is like one of the top 3 issues that break up marriages.
Right.
So you need to talk about the finances and don't be hard nosed about it. Be kind of flexible in the sense of talking it out and figuring it out together.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we have a couple of just some suggestions we want to throw out at you. They're not in any specific order, but the first one, of course, is to communicate, talk. The second one is be open to ideas and suggestions. Each of you may have some ideas about how to reach your goals or how to manage your funds. Listen.
Yeah. And because you each may have come from different backgrounds, different family heritage and so forth, some families handle finances differently than others.
Right.
Some families are very financially savvy and others are not. So again, work on it together. But if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for some financial advice
Yes.
from someone that you trust, right? That are doing or investing in a way that you want to invest, or whatever that part is, right? Make sure you just reach out to someone who has a better handle on it.
Right. And then you want to set goals and have a plan that the two of you can agree on.
Yeah, financial goals are critical. Like we always have, we not always, but we like to have financial goals every year, and even every quarter, and sometimes every month, and sometimes every week on where we want to be, what we need to have coming in, going out. Just have that discussed, right? So there's no surprises.
And when you set your goals, make sure you have a plan. Put in place a plan to achieve those goals. And if you don't reach them all this year, say you have 7 goals and this year you tackled the big 3 or the bottom 4, don't be hard on yourself. You achieved it, then great. Put them on for next year, you know. Don't let it bring you down.
Yeah. I know one of our big goals is to be debt free.
Yes.
Right. We want to have our house paid off, cars paid off, credit cards or any outstanding loans. We want to have all those paid off. And we are on our way to doing that, which is exciting, right? It's exciting to be able to be on that path. But we weren't always on that path.
No.
we were in pretty bad shape financially for a long time. But now things are starting to turn around. We're starting to get in a position where we can really start blessing even more people than we try to bless right now.
And how it really came about is when we both decided to bring our goals together.
Yes.
Because there's, for years I had mine, he had his, and we worked on them. But when we both sat down and decided we're going to do this together, what are your goals? Let me see what you have. Okay, now let's do a goals sheet for both of us.
Yeah,
together, where we can work on it together. And once we did that, that's when we really start knocking out a lot of the debt that we had.
Yeah.
So,
and from my vantage point, it really started to come together when I got on the same page as far as tithes and offerings. Because I believed in tithing, but it was sporadic. It wasn't consistent. And you were very consistent on tithes and offerings. In fact, I was stunned at the amount of money that you were tithing and offering. But I got on that train, if you will, and we started doing it together corporately, tithing and okay, you tithe over here, I'm gonna tithe over here, but together we got that covered. We were sowing a lot of seed. We sowed a lot of seed in 2023.
22, 23.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. 22, 23. But now we're starting to harvest in 2024.
Right.
In fact, this has been a banner year for us, harvesting those seeds that we sowed years before. And we have been doing little things, but we really put a lot of seed in the ground, if you will, in 2022 and 23. And now we continue to do that now in 2024 because of the blessing, because the harvest is coming in, allows us to do more sowing of seed.
And so the next thing we want to just throw at you is to be patient, be kind to your spouse. For each of you have different levels of understanding of finances and different practices of finances.
Yeah.
So be kind, be gentle. And the next thing would be to collaborate. How to pull your two separate forces together so that you can be one strong force to reckon with in achieving your goals, knocking out debt, being on the same page with tithing and sowing seed and giving. Just come together.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting when we went to the workshops is that it was a Christian-based workshop, if you will. We prayed, we worshiped and stuff during that time, but I asked one of the instructors about paying off debt or paying off specifically paying off our mortgage, and he said there are better ways to deal with the money. But I think both of us are on the Dave Ramsey mindset,
The kingdom
the kingdom mindset
principle.
principle, which is to pay the debt off and
Owe
not
no
be
man
owed.
anything
Yeah,
but to love him.
that is the kingdom process, and that's the path we're on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are strictly looking from a financial standpoint, there may be better things you can do with that money than pay off your debt. But our goal is to be completely out of debt and become the lender, not the borrower.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's the path we're on.
And those are the type of conversations that you spouses need to have with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Get educated, learn together about money, how money works, how to invest. I mean, these two workshops were so critical, and we were just like, all the new information that we learned and the things that we did not know.
Right.
We just so many things we did not know. You may be more astute, more knowledgeable than we were, but there were things we just did not know. And so we did learn a lot, and we came back and we said, okay, we're gonna first let's fast and get some direction on what we need to do, how God wants us to handle our funds from this point on.
Yeah, to move forward. Yeah.
Because it kind of took us to the next level. So the next thing is push past your fears. And be comfortable, I should say, getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it can be scary, talking about finances and stuff. And even if you've been single for a long time and then you do decide to come together in a relationship and marry this person, you've been used to making all these decisions on your own. And then now you have this other person, you have to get their input on it. And then you may not be impressed with their input.
Well,
and you're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, we were like that for probably the first many years of our marriage. But we came together, and that's the key. Work at coming together. I mean, because, like we said, like we have said to you in the past, there's different cultures, family dynamics. Everybody learned differently. How Casper's parents raised him, how they handled finances can be totally different than how my family handled finances. And so that's why communication is such a big thing. That's why you need to talk about it. That's why you need to be open, upfront, and move away your fear. Do not be afraid. Don't let fear stand in your way. Be a roadblock in your marriage, be a roadblock in your finances, and in every aspect of your life. Overcome your fear. Overcome your fears and be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And the best way to do that is to get educated. Learn. Talk to some financial advisors, some experts. Learn what to do, how to do it, what not to do. Put yourself out there to learn.
And we had to pay for the workshops that we took, but it wasn't that expensive for the workshop, and
it was worth it.
And there's a lot of free information out there now. Of course, be aware, free information is free, right? So sometimes it's really, really good, and sometimes it's not. But don't be afraid to at least explore the possibilities and go out there.
Do some due diligence. And then, like we said, get help from experts. Talk to the expert for people who this is what they do. Get information. You might talk to more than one because we've learned that they have different points of views. And if you are a believer, you want to find someone in the kingdom who has a kingdom perspective as well as a world perspective. The next one is we collaborate, be willing to see each other's point of view. We did talk about that. I don't know if we had different point of views. I think we just didn't take the time to really come together.
To even talk about it, like we're telling you to do right now. We didn't do it. That's why we're telling you to do it. We didn't do it as much as we should have, I guess. We did it, but not as much as we should have. And I think the biggest thing that helped glue it all together was the tithing and offering. Once we got on the same page there, that's when things started to accelerate. So if things are stagnant with your finances, you really should look into tithing and offering. Now, are you obligated in the Bible to tithe? No, but you're tapping into a principle, a kingdom principle, that once you do that, things just work. They start to work. You know, a real quick testimony at the beginning of the year, actually toward the end of last year, we were thinking about TV. It was just a thought, maybe, and we don't know. Then we had some conversations with the TV network, and they were great conversations, but we still were like, yeah, that's going to cost a lot of money. When she told us how much, we're like, yeah, we don't have
We're
it.
not ready.
We're not ready for that. And then we, but we still stayed in communication. And toward the beginning of this year, we had a conversation where she said, look, just make me an offer. We'll see what we can do. And we prayed about it. We fasted some more. We're big on fasting now and praying. So we did that, and we came back and we said, hey, this is what we can do. And she accepted our terms, basically. So we started down this road for TV. But we didn't have the money for TV. We still didn't have the money. But we signed a contract and we put some money down, and we believing that this is what God wanted us to do because we were praying and fasting. And we just got comfort. Just a lot, it wasn't even a stress level about it. And it was a lot of money, but it was a stress level. And we just felt that it was what we should do.
And we also did a lot of studying to increase our faith, learning more about what the word says and what God's perspective.
Yeah.
And then, faith without works is dead. So you have to take action.
Right. So fast forward to today, we have filmed the TV show, and it's going to be premiering on the 21st of November of this year. Right. So we're going to have a big premiere launch, and we'll be putting out information about that. And that entire season 1, is paid in full.
Woo-hoo,
paid in full.
To God. Hallelujah.
And we did not have the money at the beginning of the year, but as of right now, it's paid in full. So, those are the kind of things that you can expect once you plug into the kingdom.
Yes.
Things just, but you really have to be plugged in, right? So you need to understand that.
You can't be half in and half out.
No.
You got to be in, sitting at the feet of Jesus, studying the word, listening, and building yourselves up so you can be strong. So collaborate, understand each other's point of view. And the last one would be participate. Just because you're fearful, don't think finances, and you don't think that finances is your forte. Like, oh, I don't do good with numbers. But finances is how we live in this realm. And so you need to know how to handle your money wisely. Right. Because I have many years where I handled money, but it was not wisely. Right. So you want to be able to handle your money wisely. So you participate, jump in there, learn. When your spouse comes, maybe your spouse is more knowledgeable. Don't get all defensive and fearful and, combative. Open yourself up to learn. I always thought stocks and trades was just way over my head. But the instructors that we had, it was really good. And so I have no regrets. I'm glad we took the class. It was very good.
Absolutely. I want to close out with just a couple of tips for healthy communication. And this will help you during this political season because of what we talked about earlier. And the first one is, and I'm going to go through these kind of quick because we only have a couple minutes left. But the first one is determine your overarching goal for the relationship. Now, if you're just passing a stranger, you're at the bus stop or whatever, you don't need to get into lengthy conversations about anything, right? You could just be a blessing to them, smile, say hi, maybe help them with the whatever, but that's pretty much it. You don't have to get into a long drawn out conversation, and you shouldn't, I don't think, with a stranger. So determine that relationship. The next one is take off your jersey. I love this statement because we all have jerseys on, right? We all have a team that we're backing. Right? My team's the best. No, my team's the best. Okay, and you have your jerseys on. And you can't even hear anything about the other team because your jersey's on and you're blocking any information from the other team. Because you might hear something that you like. They may be a better quarterback than your quarterback. And you're like, whoa, no. You don't want to hear that. So you have to take off your jersey and just be not to where you're receiving anything that comes your way, but just take off your jersey so it's not a team thing. You're just there to get information.
Right.
You're just listening to them. That's what that's talking about. And then reimagine your goal. So what is the goal of that conversation, especially when it comes to politics? Is your goal to change their mind? Well, more than likely, you're not going to change their mind. And if you force the issue, more than likely, all they're going to do is dig in.
Right.
So don't have a goal of changing their mind. Have a goal of getting more understanding as to why they feel the way they feel. What you're going to find, what I found, is that most of the time we feel the same way. We just think that this team is going to get there rather than this team. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. When it comes to politics, we want safety and security for our family and our kids. We want, some basic things, right? So just reimagine your goal. Don't use why as an accusation. Tell me more. Use tell me more. So if they say, well, I hate her, or I hate him. Oh, really? Tell me more. Why do you hate them? Okay, well, that's pretty bad. So what? Tell me more. And what you're going to find is, you're going to have this conversation as opposed to yelling and stuff back and forth.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Assume that you're making some assumptions. This happens all the time. We all make assumptions. So I'm assuming that you're clueless because you're voting for that person because they are this and they are that and all this back and forth. So assume that you're making some assumptions and try not to. And it's difficult, but try not to make assumptions. And allowing emotions, allow emotions only focus on the fact. Don't focus on the facts. I kind of disagree with this statement. So I like to focus on the facts. People, though, a majority of people, I'd say.
Yes, you get led by your emotions.
And they vote based upon emotions.
Yes.
Because they say, I hate that person, or I hate that person, or she's this, or he's that. All those are emotions. I focus on the facts. And again, I'm not trying to win the argument or the discussion. I'm just trying to focus on the facts. When they go off on emotion, I said, that's interesting. But what about the fact that blah, 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 blah? And they said, well, okay, it's a fact.
We've got to learn how to have conversations without being led by our emotions and have a conversation with the point of view of learning something.
Right. Again, the goal is to learn something from that. Show that you understand, even if you disagree. So you don't have to agree you don't have to agree with them. You can disagree, but do you understand why they feel that way?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then forego closing arguments. Right. You say, well, before we leave this thing, you have to admit that No, I don't have to admit that. No, I don't believe that, and I don't have to admit that. But we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And, we're at the bottom of the hour, but I have had the conversation with people, and I say, okay, you feel that way, and I feel this way. Let's just agree to disagree. And they say, no. What? No. I was like, oh, okay. I think we should be able to at least agree to disagree.
That's a sign of maturity.
Right.
We're 7-8 billion of us on the planet. We're not going to all agree on everything. So just know that and don't be led by your emotions and
absolutely
contribute to the division.
Absolutely. Yeah, we hope this helps, guys. We're in some very interesting times. Hold on to your hats. I think it's going to get pretty interesting here over the next few weeks, but we are Christians and we don't operate out of a spirit of fear.
We're going to walk in love.
We're going to walk in love, and we're just going to love on each other, protect us, protect your assets and protect your family as much as possible. And yeah,
That's it, folks.
that's it. All right, we'll see you on the next training.